Hello everyone, welcome to our Sunday session of guided home practice. I'm a little bit perturbed because my screen has switched into Portuguese today, so I had to quickly remember my Portuguese. So I hope you can all hear me and see me. If you can't, then I don't know, I'm going to practice anyway. So this week we've got forward bends. And this is based on the practice we did the previous days in our classes. So those of you that are joining for the first time, if you're a beginner, please don't do this practice. It's not aimed at beginners. It's for those that are already practicing yoga. And if you want to start, then go to my website at orangetreeyoga.com and I'll be happy to help you. Okay, so we're going to start with the invocation to Patanjali as usual. And just get yourselves set up so that you can sit up straight. And you might need a chair today, you might need belts, the usual kit. And I've got, a few standing poses, standing forward bends that is, and then some seated work. So those of you with knee problems, make sure that you don't invite pain into your knees or tolerate pain in your knees. If it hurts, stop, especially in the joints. Okay, so we'll start. So as usual, I'm trying not to teach this session, but I might give you a few pointers. This is a chance for us to practice together every Sunday morning and consolidate our practice from the week. So I'm going to join the palms and close the eyes and prepare for the invocation to Patanjali. And also we'll do the Guru chant afterwards. So sit tall, sit straight, compose yourself. Yogena Chittasya Padena Vacham Malam Sharirasya Javaidhyakena Yopa Karotam Pravaram Muninam Patanjalim Pranjaliranatosmi Abahu Purushakaram Shankha Chakra Siddharinam Sahasra Shirasam Setam Pranamami Patanjalim Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Hari Om. Okay, and then we'll start the practice. So we're going to start with Adho Mukha Virasana, followed by Adho Mukha Svanasana. So as usual, I'll use my little timer. And if you haven't seen this timer app before and you've got an Android phone, it's called Bodhi, B-H-O-D-I or B-O-D-H-I. And it's a lovely little timer. Okay, so we'll start in the kneeling pose, Adho Mukha Virasana. So take whatever support you need. And we'll stay here for a couple of minutes, and then as soon as the timer bell goes, we'll move into Adho Mukha Svanasana. Okay? Downward facing dog pose, nice.
So just another 10 seconds to go.
And then Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. And again, it's 2 minutes, but obviously you work with your own, within your own boundaries, your own limitations, and come down if you need to. And you can just come down and go back to Adho Mukha Virasana. And then when the timer goes, we'll go straight through to Uttanasana, the forward bend, standing forward bend Uttanasana. You can either walk your hands to your feet or your feet to your hands. So walk the feet forwards, and I would keep the feet about hip width apart on my first Uttanasana of the day. And I'm going to fold my elbows. You can also catch around the backs of the legs, or put the hands on the shins, or hands on bricks. Actually, folding the elbows tends to help the backs of the knees to stretch more. The different hand positions have a different effect on the pose. So it's always good to experiment and find out for yourself how you feel in your legs, in your trunk, when you take the different arm positions. Not all during the same pose. And then you might want to change the cross of the elbows as well if you've got the elbows folded. So you get a balanced feeling across the shoulders. And it also helps you with coordination to not always hold the same way. And then come up. Okay, so I'm going to stop the timer because the next pose we're not going to hold for 2 minutes. It's Utkatasana, the chair pose. I'm going to do mine against the wall today, just for a bit of grounding. So it's the one where we bend the knees and then we take the arms up like that. So if you're doing it at the wall, don't lean back. You have that zigzag shape. So we're going to do it 3 times. 3 times. Okay. You can do it in the middle of the room if you want to. Now, the 3rd time we do it, we'll move away from the wall. I'll just show you first, actually. So the third, this is the way we're going to do it twice, and then you can come up. And then the third time, you can move away. And as it says on the sheet there, we're going to take the arms up, bend into Utkatasana, and then go straight into Uttanasana, head down again. And this time, the legs will be together. All right, so it's a slightly deeper pose. Okay. So Utkatasana, you don't have to do it at the wall like me. I'm just doing that for my practice. Because I want to lengthen my lower back today and make sure the buttocks are tucking down. It's just a very nice method also for feeling that stretch in the calf and that grip in the hips. Then I'm going to come up. And the second attempt, so arms can go up first. Sliding down, see if we can go a bit deeper this time. Keeping that tucking action and that squeezing of the legs, but try not to squeeze my jaw, which I tend to do sometimes. And then up. And I'm going to go into the middle. I'm sorry if you can't see the top of my arms today. The camera needs a slight adjustment, I think, but we won't stop now. And now we're going into the pose here, and then we'll go into Uttanasana. So tucking action again, trying to keep those arms up. And then I'm going to stretch down into Uttanasana. If you don't reach the floor this time, just put your hands here or press your hands onto your shins. Or even onto bricks again. Okay, and then you can come up from there. Now, I've got Padahastasana. So we're going to catch the feet. And this is that grip that we were doing with the first two fingers and the thumb on top of the big toe. So if you don't have the reach to get the hands to the floor, you can take your belt around your feet. Here's my belt. So just a reminder to some of you that I know will have trouble with your hamstrings. You can either put the belt around the big toes, as in a Padahastasana grip, or just stand on the belt with the feet a little bit apart, and then you can walk your hands down like that to wherever you can manage to reach. Okay, so that's quite a nice method to do. You can use bricks, but it's better to put your hands here, otherwise it's just like Uttanasana. You're pulling up. I said I wasn't going to teach, but I know some of you will struggle. You're pulling up on the belt to extend the trunk forwards, and then you try and bend the elbows and go deeper. Okay, that's for those that need the belt, but I'm going to use my fingers on my feet. In fact, I'll turn this way. So let's start. In fact, we'll take a minute in the pose, and when the chimer goes off, you can see if you can put your hands underneath your feet for Padahastasana and do another minute. All right. So coming forwards, coming down, put that timer on. I'm grabbing my big toes. I'm trying to pull the big toes off the floor and press the big toes down at the same time. So the hands and the feet are working in opposite forces to create an extension through the back chest. And then I'm going to bend my elbows and take the crown of the head down. So when the chimer goes off, we'll lift the head, straighten the arms, and then either repeat that same action, or you can try and put your hands underneath your feet. So that's Padahastasana. So straighten the elbows, look forwards, and then lift one foot and put the hand underneath. And obviously, if you're not catching the feet yet, just repeat and press the big toes down into the palm
into the heel of the thumb, elbows out to the side, head down. So it's a bit more intense now. You have to be careful with this one with the balance because it can be a little bit tricky. There's a lovely opening for the backs of those knees into the upper thigh area, upper leg area. It's also very comforting on the wrists if you can get the wrists down. Very nice to do after you've done lots of wrist work and you want to sort of stretch the wrists the other way. It's very comforting. It's like a self-massage on your wrists. Okay, and then don't forget to take your hands out. Hands on your hips and come up. Okay. Then we've got Urdhva Prasarita Eka Padahastasana. So I'm just moving all my stuff out of the way because for this you need space to take that leg up, the top leg. So as a reminder, because some of you won't have seen this yet, we did this in one of the classes, I think, this week, but not all of them. This time the arms come up into Padahastasana and then you go forwards. And you can either just have the hands down on bricks or on the floor, even on a chair, and then you swing one leg up and you take that leg either horizontal to the floor or if you can, go higher up. Okay, and then you bend the elbows. Or if those of you that can remember the hand hold, you come up, hold the leg, and then take the head down like that. Okay. So shall we go for a minute on each side? Why not? Okay, so I'm going to take my left leg up first, so it might not mirror yours, but it's my left leg. And then come up in between. And down, and then come up. Isn't it funny how some minutes can seem a lot longer than others? So then we've got Prasarita Padahastasana. And if you want to use the chair, use the chair. Make sure your head is supported in this though, because we're going to hold it for 2 minutes, like we've done before. So either the head is on the floor, or head is on a blanket, or head is on a chair. I'm just taking a blanket to start with, and that might have to go away. Because the longer you stay, the more the body releases down. So you can step the feet wide, make sure your feet are parallel, and then come forwards. And of course, if your head reaches the floor, you don't need to put any support there. And here in this pose, you've also got that other grip where you hold the sides of the feet, the ankle bones. And that's quite nice because you can then feel the ankle bone, the outer ankle, moving in. And that helps those inner groins to go into the body better. And we talked a little bit about that this week as well in Janu Sirsasana, which is coming later. Now, the head goes down. Sometimes you need a lift at the beginning, and then you have to feel what's happening in the neck. You know, and if it feels like it's kind of being pushed into the body, it probably means you can go a bit lower, but make sure those legs stay vertical. And then come up and walk the feet in a little bit, because sometimes it's hard to bring the legs back in and then step the legs back together. So now it's time for our Sirsasana practice, head balance. And in a couple of the classes, we did preparation for that, where you were taking one leg up. So you could try that again, not going upside down, but just practicing the hand grip and then taking a leg up. If you're not used to doing Sirsasana, don't do it. Don't trouble yourself today. Come to class, learn, and then practice. So if you're not doing inversions because you're menstruating, what you can do instead, very simply, is put your feet against the wall, so your toes are tucked against the wall and the soles of the feet are together, and then bring your buttocks towards your heels and lie down. Okay, so you're in a kind of Supine, but get as close to the buttocks as you can, the heels as you can, and then extend your arms over. Okay, so that's for those that are not going upside down or menstruating. You can do that. And then for those of us that are going upside down, get yourselves ready. We're going to do I think we'll do a 3.5 minutes. 3.5 minutes today. So in my normal practice, I would do at least 5, 6, 7, up to 10 minutes. But just for the purposes of this session, I'm doing a slightly shorter one. So see if you can today count to 10 before you come down, if you have to come down early. And, see if you can build up your stamina to stay up longer without obviously hurting your neck. If that starts to hurt, press your arms down, lift your shoulders, lift your legs, and if that doesn't work, come down. Okay, so I'm going to start the timer with a few seconds over 3.5 minutes so that we give ourselves time to go up. Don't forget to tuck your t-shirts in so they don't come down, and I have to put my pendant behind me because it goes around my face otherwise. Okay. And you use whatever support you normally have. I'm using my pleated blanket for my specific practice. And this is a pose that looks as if from the outside it looks like an extrovert's pose. It's actually very internal. So it's a pose where you can actually become quite quiet, meditative. And when that happens, it's usually an indication that the alignment is there. When the eyes are hard and the breath is hard, then that's an indication that the alignment is not quite there yet, or the effortless effort isn't quite there yet. So, persevere and listen to your teachers. Don't be afraid to go to the wall and learn the alignment from there, especially in the lumbar. So that solar plexus just above the navel area, try and keep that drawn back, and the thoracic spine forwards towards the sternum, buttock flesh lifting up, middle band of the buttocks forwards. And if you've just tuned in and don't understand why I'm not saying anything, it's because this is a guided practice, home practice for students already practicing yoga, and we're practicing together every Sunday at 10:30 on YouTube on this channel. So don't forget when you come down to keep that lift of your shoulders as much as you can so that you don't collapse down. And rest in Adho Mukha Virasana. And just a word of advice, if you feel that your neck is a little bit compressed, which happens when you're learning because you're standing on your head, don't throw your neck around when you come out. You see a lot of people twisting their neck this way and that to try and work it out. It's much better if you do Adho Mukha Virasana first, either head down or you can put the chin up like we did last week, or you sit up and you hold your head very still, and just take your hands behind your back and stretch your arms back and just let the chest lift naturally, because usually that will just soften the neck again, okay? Because you're working the neck muscles, so of course they're going to be, they're going to feel something. All right, so now we come on to the seated part of the practice. So that's Dandasana. Now I've spelt that wrong. It should be Padahastasana in Dandasana, not Dandasana. Dandasana is the head balance with the legs halfway to the floor. And then Padahastasana just means holding the big toes again. So you'll need your belt, and then you'll need whatever you need for bent leg work as well. So, okay, I'm going to take, I think, just a blanket to sit on. And hold it that way. I'll face you so you can see what I'm doing. And I'll show the alternatives just so that everybody knows how to prepare. But first of all, Dandasana. We're going to take a minute here. In Dandasana. The timer didn't go off. I thought that was a long minute. There you go. It happens sometimes. The bell doesn't go off. So what I suggest you do, if you need a belt, do Padahastasana, holding the belt like that, and then you can go forwards and fling it over your feet. Otherwise, take the arms up, and then we'll go forwards in a second. And then point the first two fingers up towards the ceiling and go forwards and reach for your big toes. And remember, we were working on moving the big toe joint forwards. So to try and move the inner corners of the chest forwards. The outer corners of the chest, I should say. There we go. It worked that time. Okay, and then release. So then we've got Janu Sirsasana. So if you take your right leg out first, I'll take my left so that we mirror each other. And remember that if the knee doesn't go down, the first thing you should do is sit up higher. And we did a lot of work on Saturday on releasing this groin. So sometimes just a little bit of pressure here on the inner groin, where that big ligament is, will release the leg down. Sometimes, not always. And then if you don't have any support on your knee and your knee is up, put something there like a blanket. Okay, again, you can use your belt. We're going to go for 2 minutes. And I did forget actually to take my bolster. You can support your head. And indeed, if you are able to put your head on your shin, just put your head on your shin. Otherwise, have a bolster. And I'm going to get a blanket as well today, because I'm not sure whether my head will go to that bolster today or not. So it's always better to have more props around like that. Okay, so then I'm going to go forwards to there. All right, so 2 minutes each side. I'll keep an eye on the clock just in case it goes off, so I won't leave you there for 5 minutes. So either hold the belt, hold the foot, or even go to the chair if you need to. And don't forget, the area that you need to relax most here is the abdomen. Of course, the facial muscles, but definitely the abdomen. That tends to grip. So let the abdomen be soft. And if you're not going forwards because of stiffness or problems in the knees, you can always sit up and just stay seated, turning towards the straight leg. And then turning towards the bent leg, and just see what you can find out about the hips, the pelvis, the lift of the trunk, the extension of the straight leg. And then change over. So I'll start the timer again once I've changed my side. So it's a good idea to get that turn first, get that groin released before you go forwards. You know, don't be in a rush. Preparation in forward bends is very important. Well, as it is in all things, but sometimes with forward bends it takes a little bit longer. And remember that we were also talking about the sacrum bone quite a lot this week and how that tends to push out, causing a few, some discomfort and also blockage. So make sure that sacrum bone is moving with you as you go forwards. And don't forget this big toe joint here. Move it forwards. So you extend the inner leg. And you may even find that just takes you that little bit further along the leg with the trunk. I have to say, one of my dearest friends, won't mention her name, she, in that pose, she fell asleep in her exam in that pose. So that's the state that we want to try and get to in those forward bends, is that intense extension, but also that deep reflection inside, that deep kind of withdrawal. All right, so we've got Upavishtakonasana, Padahastasana. So that's the wide leg, wide angle pose, and then Padahastasana, turning to the side. So we did this a few weeks ago in the recuperative, I think. So I'm just making some space. I can take my legs wide. So it kind of mirrors Prasarita, Padahastasana, because it's the same shape, but you're seated. And you want to see that your heels are level. And then we're going to go to the side first, once each side, and then we'll go forwards. So I'm going to take my bolster back over here, and I might need a bit of extra height. And then once I go over my right leg, I'll put the bolster across my leg and reach forward. So just start by sitting up. And we'll just do a minute, I think, on these. So we're going to sit up for a minute, turn for a minute, turn for a minute, and then go into the forward bend for a minute. So a few different movements. And think about what you're trying to achieve is that length through the leg, through to the inner heel, and then you're trying to also keep the leg bone fixed in the socket. So there's a kind of circular action where you extend outwards and then you kind of grip inwards at the same time. Some of you more flexible people, you tend to have very loose hips, which is lovely because you can go forwards, but then you've also got to have that compactness so the groins don't overwork trying to hold the legs into the pelvis. Okay, so we're going to turn to the right now. So the right hand is behind you and the left hand can be in front, either on your lift. Move that forwards. And think of turning the very lower part of your belly towards that right leg. And remember, we were talking about how when you turn, sometimes that side that you're turning from of the sacrum drops out more. So you've got to try and think of that coming forward. Okay, so coming back to the front and then go to the left. And then come back to the centre and take the supports over to the right, or you can put the chair over the leg and either hold the belt or the foot. And then to the left. Oh, I That's lucky I spotted that. It stopped. Okay. And then we'll come up from there. So when you take your legs in, just be careful of the knees. And we've got Paschimottanasana, which is a straight leg one, both legs forwards. So you can either have the chair, you can have something over the shins, or you can rest your head on your shins. And another nice one to do is when you have the head on a brick like that in between, so the legs are slightly apart. That's lovely to do. I'm going to take the same support that I had for the Bhavishta, and it's a little bit higher than I need, but it's really nice just to let go in the pose. We're going to take 2 minutes. And you can hold this pose really for up to 5 minutes. So there's a challenge for you. And don't forget to take your sacrum with you in your forward bend here. As if someone is behind you, just gently pressing their toes into your sacrum bone so it moves forward. Just half a minute to go. See if you can just let go. Just really be in the pose and try not to keep adjusting, keep fiddling. Just be where you are now. So I believe we've got, yes, Urdhva Prasarita Padahastasana now. It's a great pose to release the lower back after forward bends. And then we go to Jatara Paravatasana. So I'm just going to quickly remind you of those because they work quite well to get done together. And you may need the belt. We have done this before in the home practice, this one. So you can lie down in a moment. I'm just going to show first. If you can't lift the legs up on their own, then use the belt like that, okay? And then when we do Jatara Paravatasana, you can just get rid of the belt, bring the feet down, stretch your arms out. I need a bit more room to do that. Stretch your arms out so your arms are level with your shoulders, and then you go first to the right. See, the knees and feet don't touch the floor, and then to the left. And you can see my shoulder also doesn't lift up when I go to the other side. Okay, so that's Jatara Padahastasana. We'll do it 3 times each side. All right, and we'll inhale when the knees are up, exhale when the knees go to the side. Okay, but first we're going to do a minute in Urdhva Prasarita Padahastasana. That's with the legs straight up. So do use the belt if you need it. Okay. Or even if you don't, try it with the belt and see. Okay, I think I'm going to do that just so I can have a nice time. Because then I can pull down and my outer hips, I'm feeling this area going down. And also, although the legs are stretching up, the inner groins are also going into the body. So it's really nice for the pelvis, lower back. I'm not pushing my lower back into the floor. That would be quite aggressive to do. So I'm not doing that, but I am feeling the left and right side of the sacrum touching the floor and those outer hips going down. So it's really the outer corners of the pelvis. Okay, and then I'm going to release and come down. And we'll turn that timer off because we don't need it for the next one. So stretch those arms out, lift my knees to my chest, and I take a deep breath in. As I breathe out, I take my knees off to the right. And then inhale, come up. So it's all coordinated with the breath. Exhale, go to the left. Inhale, come up. So that was 1. So now exhale, go to the right. This is 2. So we're going to do 3 of these on each side. Inhale, come up. Exhale to the left. Obviously, you choose your own breathing timing. And then this is my last one. And then bring the feet down. Okay. Now, we're coming to Shavasana, but I'm going to change it on you because some people asked about setu bandha this week. So I'm actually going to show, while we're all together, the setup for fully supported setu bandha because a couple of people asked about that. And I know you're watching. So I'm going to take a bolster and 4 foam blocks. And again, if you don't have a bolster, you just have to try and be creative with what you've got at home. Use your sofa cushions. But I'm making a big long kind of trail so that I can support the whole body, but the head and shoulders will end up on the floor. So that's probably a bit too long. I'm not 6'2". I'll turn that one round. Bring that there. Bring that there. So you can. It's more or less the same height. In fact, that needs to come up. Yes, because I want a neat edge there. And then I put a blanket over the whole thing. So why don't you create your own? If you want to do shoulder stand, do shoulder stand. You know what you're doing. When you put the blanket over, you can see if there's a dip. See, there's a little dip there where it's a bit lower there. So as I'm going to do it properly, otherwise it'll annoy me because I'll feel my legs going down or the thighs going down. So I'm going to try and make that the same. See how I can do that. You can never have too many yoga blankets. Okay, so then I'm going to lie back, but I'm also going to put the belt around my thighs, which is not really to tie them together, it's just to stop that sort of rolling action. So it's better to sit first and also if you don't reach the wall, because it's nice to have the feet against the wall, if you've got a belt, it will do just as good as having the feet on the wall. So not too tight, you don't want to cut the circulation off in the thighs. And I always put the buckle in the middle, not on the flesh. And that's midpoint. Okay, where the thigh starts to come out, that's the middle thigh point. And I'm going to take this for 4 minutes. So hopefully you're with me. And if not, you could even just be in Shavasana now. So then your shoulders, remember, come to the floor, because it's surprising how many people forget that setu bandha, this should be on the floor. Shoulders should be on the floor in setu bandha and the head, but the legs are elevated, buttocks are elevated. And then you stretch the legs first, press your thighs, you tuck your shoulders under, make all those adjustments, and then actually you can pretty much let go. So this setup is the equivalent of what they call a setu bandha bench, which looks like a big, one of those old school benches, but they're a bit wider. And they're completely flat, wooden table-like things, and you drop down from that towards the floor or onto bolsters. So this is the equivalent of that. Okay, and then you bring your hands to your belly, and I normally slide down. It's just a bit easier than rolling off. And take the belts off, and then we're going to just do just over 3 minutes of Shavasana. I'm actually going to do it on the bolster with my feet together, knees out to the side. And I'll take a blanket under my head. It just feels nice just to come straight down from there. And let the back settle with the legs elevated.